Trapped Supporter 88, you asked, what was your reaction to Michelle McCool winning the women's championship? Well, I wasn't crazy about it. I thought it was kind of a strange thing to do because you have Melina, who is about as over as any diva not named Mickie James, and you move her over to SmackDown so she can help you cash in on the Hispanic demographic that show gets, and then pretty quickly you have her drop the title to Michelle McTaker, and that really doesn't make sense to me. I'll give credit where credit's due, all right? As far as wrestlers go, McTaker is not the worst woman they could put the belt on. And I thought those two had a decent title match at the Don't Call It Great American Bash. They weren't reinventing the wheel out there or anything, but by diva standards, it was a pretty good match. And I thought it was better than the Knockouts title match at Slammiversary. I really did. McTaker is probably the best athlete to come out of the diva search. I know that's not really saying too much, but I do mean it in a complimentary way. Having said that, the woman is basically a robot. I mean, she has the personality of wet cardboard, all right? She has whatever the exact opposite of charisma is. And I don't think I'm alone in thinking that either. I mean, I've read several live reports from that show, and every one of them said that McTaker got zero crowd reaction. So she's basically the some jobber bolt of WWE. I mean, when she comes out, the people don't boo, they don't cheer, they don't do anything, because they just don't care. McTaker is a very attractive woman. I appreciate her athleticism and that she's improving her wrestling skills. I think given enough time and experience, she'll turn into a good wrestler who doesn't need to be carried by a good opponent to have a good match. But unless she can get some kind of personality transplant or something, then I just don't see there being any money in her. And I certainly don't see any reason to give her the women's title. But as long as she's dating The Undertaker, she's going to be in a good spot and she's going to get pushed. And that's not a smart way to do business. It's not a good way to do business. But it's the way that things are in that company, unfortunately. Thanks for your question. Truth be told, I wasn't looking forward to doing the video this week. And I was actually putting it off for a while because this was one of those shows that's really hard to review. I mean, there was some good stuff, but there was some frustrating stuff, and I just feel compelled to talk about the frustrating stuff for some reason. And I really don't want to do that, but in an effort to remain unbiased, I'm going to give it a shot. First of all, Cody Deaner versus Amazing Red. I have to ask, what Nimrod on the creative team thought this match was a good idea? Okay, Deaner has shown signs of getting over as a babyface. He's paired up with ODB, who's always been very popular. So then they decide to put him in a match with Amazing Red, who the Impact Zone crowd loves to death, completely stifling any babyface reaction that Deaner was getting up to that point. I mean, when he was on the offense against Red, the crowd was booing him. So is that what you want to do, TNA? Like when a new talent starts to get over, you got to be like, no, 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 we can't have that. I mean, I know Russo loves to blur the lines between faces and heels. I mean, anytime Amazing Red has a match on Impact, it's a wonderful thing. And they did have a good match. But Red just shouldn't have been in this spot. I mean, it might have been a different story if Red had helped Deaner up after the match and been like, hey, good try, man, nice job. But no, it's not happening. I mean, would it have been so hard to have Deaner face a heel like Brutus Magnus or Kiyoshi or something? I don't know. For everything this creative team does right, I mean, sometimes it's like they just have no concept whatsoever of how counterproductive stuff like this can be. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time these writers shot themselves in the foot, I'd be a very rich man. And speaking of things that are counterproductive, just when you thought this garbage with Sharmell and Jenna Maraska couldn't get any more agonizing to sit through, they decide to add some jobber bolt to the mix, saying she's going to be preparing Sharmell for her match with Maraska at Victory Road, God help us all. So, in case you weren't paying attention, Sharmell is going to be trained to wrestle in a matter of weeks by a crappy wrestler who hasn't won a match in months. Seriously. When Jenna Maraska is the most likable character in a storyline, that's when you know something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. And the only reason she's the most likable is because she doesn't talk that much. But you know the part about this that really gets under my skin more than anything else? In 2 weeks, you have Sarah Stock and cheerleader Melissa making their debut on Impact, and then you have Charmel, Maraska, and Bolt getting a spot on pay-per-view. I'm just thinking out loud here. Is there any chance that we could have Sarah Stock and Melissa show up at Victory Road with weapons and have them beat Charmel, Bolt, and Maraska half to death so that they're laid up in a hospital ICU somewhere far, far, far away until their contracts expire? Nothing would get them over as babyfaces faster than that. And Melissa breaking Charmel in half with the Kudo driver? That is something that I would pay $30 to see. This match as it is right now? Not so much. And I can't believe that I'm about to compliment the WWE on something here, but this is an area where they're usually pretty good about. Because not every WWE feud goes to pay-per-view. Now granted, they do have a lot of garbage on their pay-per-views these days, Vicky Santina Hogpen match, etc. But if they don't think a feud is a big deal, if they don't think it's entertaining, they won't put it on pay-per-view. They'll just settle it on the TV show. And I wish TNA would take a page from that book, because not every storyline is pay-per-view material. Not every feud is pay-per-view material. Case in point, Charmel Maraska. Something else I need to mention here, it's not necessarily a criticism, but if you want to take it like that, you can. The final segment of the show this week saw Jeff Jarrett and AJ Styles getting beat down by the Main Event Mafia. Matt Morgan took out Christopher Daniels backstage, so he couldn't help out. But then, all of a sudden, Sting shows up with his baseball bat in hand, takes out all the Mafia guys by himself, and I swear to God, it was like I had just gone back in time 11 years and I was watching Sting do the exact same thing to the NWO on WCW Nitro. I'm sorry, but the nostalgia just didn't do it for me. Alright? Okay, now, I do like that they're adding Christopher Daniels to this storyline, but the use of Sting here just gives me a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, is Sting a veteran? Yes. Is he an icon? Yes. Is he a legend in the business? Yes. But is he as big a deal at this point as the writers are treating him as? Not necessarily. I mean, if anything, it should be AJ beating down the Main Event Mafia. It should be Christopher Daniels. It should be Hernandez. It should be Beer Money. It should be Motor City Machine Guns. But Sting? No. I'm sorry. We've seen that before. I don't care to see it again. Speaking of Beer Money, I need to clarify something I said last week. I said that if Beer Money lose their titles to Booker T and Scott Steiner, that it would be like flushing the tag team belts down the toilet. And I think that was a little bit harsh. I think they could do a title change without invalidating the push that Beer Money have been getting. As long as Storm and Rude look strong in the match, as long as it looks like they have the match won, as long as TNA gets over the fact that Booker T and Steiner just cannot beat them straight up, as long as they get all that stuff across before the inevitable Mafia heel tactics begin, then I think a title change wouldn't be that damaging to Beer Money. I mean, I still think Beer Money need to go over in this match, don't get me wrong, but I think there are ways they could do a title change without devaluing Beer Money and the tag team titles. And something that I really did like about this show was the stuff with Abyss. And I'm as shocked as you guys are to hear myself saying this, but they have officially sold me on this storyline with Stevie Richards. I mean, that segment with him, Lauren, and Abyss was creepy as hell. I mean, by all rights, it probably should have been a train wreck, but the acting saved it. I think the acting of Lauren, Daphne, Abyss, and Stevie Richards has saved this storyline from being a complete train wreck that it probably would have been otherwise. I mean, I was against them bringing him in the first place, but I think that TNA has made better use of Stevie Richards in the last few months than WWE did in several years. Having said all that, though, I really am not interested in seeing Abyss versus Stevie Richards at Victory Road, which is probably where they're going with. We all know Abyss is going to win. It just seems pointless. I think Dr. Stevie is a great character slash manager slash mouthpiece. I just don't care to see the guy wrestling. I think that ship has sailed. So, definitely wasn't crazy about Impact this week. Definitely a lot of frustrating stuff. Plus, I've been kind of a funk the last few days for some reason. I just don't feel like accentuating the positives of wrestling right now. Anyway, it's the 4th of July, so go shoot some fireworks. Edge, get well soon, man. Happy birthday, America. See you later.